International. Currently, he is coordinating various capacity building initiatives in food regulatory sciences with a focus on enhancing food laboratory testing and Codex Alimentarius capabilities, particularly in the Arab region and beyond. Dr. Amin, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ruba, for your kind introduction. And I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all attendees with us, esteemed participants with us to this webinar. And thank you for giving me this chance to tackle this very important and interesting topic on camel milk-derived products. So if you allow me first, I will be sharing my presentation. Okay, so I hope it's showing now in full screen mode. So again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Ruba, once again. I will try through this presentation in this webinar titled Supporting the Development of Camel Milk-Derived Products to answer this question: why a proposed Codex standard on camel milk products from a scientific perspective for this first presentation. And then, of course, my colleagues will continue answering or trying to answer this question from a standardization perspective. So this presentation, my presentation, I will be introducing the topic, especially in the framework, as you introduced, Dr. Ruba, of this International Year of Camelite 2024, and the background of this topic, why these camel milk-derived products are so important, and why they are a great and very important potential for a standardization effort at the international level. Then we will be speaking a bit about some production and the trade trends of those camel milk products. And we will be tackling in details the distinct compositional characteristics from a nutritional perspective of camel milk. And for all these reasons, why this product or these products have high economic value. And of course, I will try to conclude summarizing all these informations. As we said, and as you mentioned, Dr. Ruba, this year, 2024, was declared by the United Nations as the International Year of Camelites, highlighting this overlooked potential of camelites and aiming to raise awareness and encourage investment in the camelite sector. In fact, these camels, they are a key source of food in terms of milk and all the derived products of milk and meat for these arid and semi-arid areas. And they can contribute significantly to food security, economic growth, and poverty alleviation in these producing countries. However, we can notice nowadays an increasing demand beyond those traditional regions like Africa, Asia, and Near East, and you can see that exports are now reaching European and North American markets. These products are characterized by this unique composition, a very distinct nutritional composition, and a very high potential for new trade opportunities, which is driving consumer interest more and more nowadays. However, all of these advantages make these products vulnerable to fraud and false representation, threatening the supply chain integrity. So, from this introduction, we can start situating and understanding the importance of those very particular and distinct product and the importance to undertake some standardization effort at the international level. If we look at this map, we can see that the major first 8 producing countries in terms of raw camel milk, as per the FAO stat for the year 2022, are the following in decreasing order. We start by Kenya, the first producer of raw camel milk at the international level, followed by Somalia, Pakistan, Mali, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, Niger, and the United Arab Emirates. And of course, other producing countries, and for sure, other consuming countries at this international scale. However, we have to mention and we have to say that till now, the camel milk sector internationally is still largely informal and dominated by informal trade, both in terms of volume and stakeholder interest and involvement. In fact, consumers in the major producing countries are still interested and they have preferences for unprocessed milk due to some cultural reasons. And if we speak about the international market, there is still some limited awareness among non-traditional consumers restricting the market expansion. That's why we can already see that the importance and the need to speak more about those commodities, specifically in those potential new markets. If we take the example of Kenya, the major producers, Kenya produces 26% of the global camel milk supply. Only 12% of production is traded, 10% sold to rural consumers, and 2% sold to urban markets. And the remaining 88% consumed locally with a significant losses, post-production losses due to inadequate collection or transport infrastructure, as mentioned by the following reference. Nonetheless, the development of camel milk-derived products is starting to be very consistent and very important at the international level, and those products are being traded and exported at the international level. As we can see from the list in this slide and the pictures, we have a lot of camel milk-derived products, starting from pasteurized camel milk to condensed UHT camel milk, some traditional dried or non-dried fermented camel milk products, butter from camel milk, cheese, yogurt, camel milk powder, ice cream, and chocolate. And it is noteworthy to mention that the camel milk powder is one of the most produced and traded commodities internationally. Now, what makes this commodity as a camel milk, as raw camel milk, or as all the derived camel milk product so interesting? In fact, this high interest comes from the distinct nutritional and compositional characteristics of camel milk. This general composition of camel milk varies depending upon the region, the breed, the season, the lactation stage, the feeding of the camels, etc. That's for sure. However, the primary compositional characteristics are still very distinct for camel milk, pertaining to its profile in terms of protein, fat. We will discuss a very interesting specificity related to lactose, minerals and ash content, and vitamin composition, which can be considered quite different compared to bovine and caprine milk. Let's start by the protein profiling. The composition of protein fractions of camel milk is different from that of bovine milk in terms of quantity and quality. Briefly, if we summarize, camel milk contains a high percentage of beta-casein, like what is found in goat and human milk, which contributes to easier digestibility of this product. Low proportion of kappa-casein and higher casein micelle diameters. Now, in terms of the whey protein composition, beta-lactoglobulin, which is the major whey protein in bovine milk and one of the major allergenic compounds in bovine milk, is absent in camel milk, like in human breast milk. So, very interesting protein specificities related to this product. However, of course, we have to mention that these specificities can have some technological implications. They can affect rheological properties. They can induce some poor coagulation and difficulties to make fermented dairy products such as cheese or yogurt, which once more highlights the technological specificities of this product. In terms of lipids composition and more specifically fats, camel milk can have relatively a wide range of fat content, ranging from 2 to 6%, as mentioned by the different papers or articles published in the literature. The average fat globule size of camel milk is smaller than that of other mammalian milk. Once more, a very distinct property, which induces a high digestibility of this fat. However, some technological limitations in terms of butter making and low butter to fat recovery. Camel milk is also characterized by high proportion of unsaturated fatty acids and a high content of long-chain fatty acids, particularly palmitoleic acid C16-1. So we can say that the fat in camel milk, as for protein, is largely similar to human breast milk. So we can already conclude and deduce the high potential of use of this milk as a substitute of human milk in the formulation also of infant formulas. Now, to close this discussion about the nutritional and compositional attributes, we have to speak about lactose. In fact, camel milk contains comparable lactose concentration to cow milk. However, unlike cow milk, people who are lactose intolerant can consume more easily and can digest with less difficulty camel milk. One probable interpretation or explanation for that is the lower concentration of casomorphins in camel milk, which would cause lactose to become more exposed to the action of lactase by slowing down intestinal motility. In terms of ash content, camel milk can be considered similar to bovine milk, but much higher in mineral composition compared to human milk. And we can list all these minerals as major constituents of camel milk: calcium, magnesium, phosphorus as a phosphate, sodium, potassium chloride, which can give some salty taste to camel milk, and other very important oligoelements like copper, zinc, iron. It is noteworthy to mention that iron concentration in camel milk was reported to be 6 times higher than in bovine milk. Manganese, selenium, and others. Now, regarding the vitamin composition of camel milk, one very important and distinct property: camel milk is renowned for its high vitamin C, which is reported to be 3 to 5 times greater than that of bovine milk. So, out of all these very important and distinct nutritional and compositional properties of camel milk, and of course all derived products of camel milk, we can already conclude that this commodity and all derived commodities can have a very high economic value. Why? Because also there is nowadays increasing recognized health and nutritional benefits more and more related to this commodity. Plus, there is still a limited supply and very specialized farming conditions, and high labor, handling, processing, and distribution costs, which makes this commodity of a high value, high economic value. True that till today, the market is still a niche market. However, we can see already a very consistent growth in Europe, in the US, and also in African and Middle Eastern countries, and in Asia, of course. And we have again to mention the concern of adulteration. Because of this high economic value, this product is more and more prone to adulteration, particularly with bovine milk. And these adulterated products, like powdered camel milk, for example, can be used in other formulation, so threatening all this value chain and this product integrity. So to sum up, it is true that we can have some variation in composition. It is influenced, as we said, by the species, by the breed, by the lactation stage, by the geographical area, by the feed. However, we can see that we can have a general trend in key macronutrients levels, which can be established in a standardization effort. Very unique features of this commodity, which should be protected from adulteration. In terms of protein profiling, as we said, high beta-casein content, absence of beta-lactoglobulin. In terms of fat, easily digestible fat, very specific fat profile in terms of saturation and in terms of chain length of fatty acids, which makes this commodity very similar to human milk also. Very key potential in infant formula and infant formulas use. Some key implication. All these specificities can enable a very specific identification and distinction of this product from adulterated. So it will be and it would be easily identified, or adulteration would be easily detected and identified, as we can see, specifically, for example, from a very important marker, the presence or the absence of beta-lactoglobulin. And we can already deduced that it is highly sought after for consumer due to nutritional and allergenic benefits, as we said, absence of beta-lactoglobulin, major allergen, and suitable for lactose intolerant consumers. So very vulnerable for adulteration. We need to do more in terms of standardization related to this product and to its derived products. Some interesting references. So very interesting review articles recently published in the last 2 years, 2022, 2023, for your kind information. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amin. This is really an eye-opener presentation for all these benefits that we can gain by consuming this very cultural product. And we should really put more effort in promoting this product and protecting it. And I believe that, you know, a standard would really protect all this integrity and will prevent any fraud in this product. So thank you very much. And I would like also to introduce our second speaker, Engineer Sonia Baladi. She is a plant policies and regulation expert working within the Abu Dhabi Agriculture and Food Safety Authority, ADAFSA, United Arab Emirates. She is a risk assessment expert in pesticides, residues, and a member of the United Arab Emirates Codex Committee, as well as a member of the Expert National Working Group on Pesticide Residues, United Arab Emirates. Engineer Sonia led the work on the Camel Milk, both at a national and regional and international levels. So, Dr. Sonia, the floor is yours, please. Dr. Sonia.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I'm happy to be part of this webinar series. Today we will talk about supporting the development of camel-derived products. Myself, as Engineer Sonia, and also my colleagues Dr. Amin Assouf and our brilliant moderator Dr. Ruba Gussus, we will try to respond to the question why a proposed standard for camel milk. And let me remind that this webinar is being streamed in conjunction with the 47th session of Codex Alimentarius that is running now in Geneva from 25 to 30 December. In my presentation, I will present the efforts that are deployed by the United Arab Emirates in developing new proposal on camel milk products. I'm Engineer Sonia Beldi for those who don't know me, and I'm plant policies and regulation expert. I lead the work on the camel milk standard development within the United Arab Emirates, and it is a great opportunity to address my thanks to my team in United Arab Emirates, in Adafsa, and also all our partners from experts, but also I would like to thank the Arab Codex Initiative as well as G-Force, IOFORCE, represented by Prof. Samuel Godfroy, Edismo, and all these stakeholders that are doing a great job in promoting the Codex work in general and the standards that are of importance to the region. So in my presentation, I will take you through a few topics. We will see together the Codex step procedure and also what are the criteria for establishing a new standard, for developing a new standard, the workflow from CCN 11 to CAC 47, the importance of stakeholders consultations. I will also give you an overview of the new proposal and what are the steps for. First of all, I usually start my presentations with this very non-stop procedure adopted by Codex, and I would like to mention that we are getting started today by presenting this work on the CAC 47, and you can find the CRD number 3, which consists of the discussion paper and the project document available in 4 languages, and we hope that by the end of the session of CAC we can officially start the official first step of this standard, of this step procedure. It's very important to have an idea about the criteria for establishment of work priorities. So this set of criteria are set by Codex, and each new proposal for camel milk or any other proposal need to fit into these requirements. First of all, any work should be under the scope of Codex as per the consumer protection and also the fair trade practices. Number 2 is very important criteria is the consideration of the global magnitude of the problem of the issue, as much as the commodity is traded between countries, as much it is considered as a priority, but it is not usually the case. Number 3 is if or not the work is undertaken by other international organizations. This is to make sure we are not duplicate work. Number 4 is joining number 2 and talking about the production rate, the consumption rate at national and between countries. And then Codex need to make sure the new proposal doesn't represent any potential barriers to trade. So each proposal, in fact, should be formed by 2 main documents. The first one is called the discussion paper. The second one is the project document. The discussion paper is an official document in which we can put a lot of background descriptions. We can report the review of the literature, etc. But in the project document, as you can see in this slide, we have 9 parts that should be filled in any proposal for Codex. Number 1, we need to define clearly the purpose and the scope of the standard. Number 2, its relevance and timeliness, the main aspects to be covered with the standard. And we have a set of criteria, which is an assessment against the criteria for establishment of work priorities. We see them in the first slide. And then information on relation between the proposal and the other Codex text. This is to make sure that there is no redundancy and no repetition of work. The identification, of course, of requirements for experts and any needed input from external bodies. These two criteria, number 6 and number 7, will help Codex to weight the burden of this work. Number 8 is, of course, the relevance to Codex strategic objectives, and we also need to propose a timeline for the completion of this work, when we are going to start, when we are going to achieve step number 8, 5 out of 8, etc. So CCNE 11 wasn't the first time we talk about the camel milk, but on Codex level, I mean, but it is another round right now that we started from CC 11 by a recommendation to undertake further work on camel milk. That's what we did on national level first. We have a very structured work during which we go through the literature review, benchmarking, data gathering, data evaluation, etc. In parallel, we conducted a consultation meetings with our partners to seek engagement, guidance, to discuss the modalities how to undertake this work, and to adjust the documents whenever deemed necessary. We informed CC Exec 86 about the new proposal, and from CC Exec 86 to the current CAC 47 meeting, we also did a lot of more consultations with Codex region, but also we organized a workshop on 24 and 25 September. It was the opportunity to gather the scientists, academia, the manufacturers, all the stakeholders from international organizations such as IDF, WHO, WOHA, IOFOST also, and it was the opportunity also to meet some of the Codex regional coordinators, and the output of this workshop and the consultations meeting helped us to ameliorate once again the document, which are, as I said, published now on CAC 47 webpage. So I think that any standard development work, it is a multi-stakeholders work on national level, on regional level, even, and of course on global level. That's why these are some of the milestones, some of the steps we followed. We formed a technical working group formed by experts from the government, from semi-government, but also from academia and from the private sector. The two main manufacturers of camel milk in UAE are also represented and partners in this work. We conducted a lot of regional collaboration with the CCNE, with our region, but also with other regions that are producing camel milk, such as Africa, Asia, CCORU also, but also we meet CCLAC, and we are going to have the opportunity to meet CCNOSWAP during this week also. These meetings help us to collect the guidance and the support, and to show inclusiveness, because we try to do the homework before heading to Codex, through also workshops, meetings. It was an opportunity to talk about the scientific parts of the work, and because the scientific part is very important, it's the part on which we are building the whole work. And on each steps, on every steps, the documents were all the time ameliorated and amended sorry, on the light of the output of all this kind of discussions. So this is the summary of the work of our technical working group within United Arab Emirates. In short time, we had 4 meetings during which we discussed a lot of technical aspects related to the profile, protein profile, lipid profile, vitamins, and all the profiles of the composition of camel milk. We also talked about the methods of analysis of some of the main important criteria as per beta-lactoglobulin. It was also the opportunity to discuss other aspects related to the trade, of course, and many other aspects. We gathered a lot of data going from the number of camels in United Arab Emirates, but also in the region. We consult data about the monitoring program of pesticides and veterinary drugs in camel milk, as per as the other physicochemical and microbiological parameters. I think I skipped a slide, but I will talk about it. The previous slide was talking about the field visits we did on national level because it was very important to talk about the practices of farming and the practices of milk processing that are different from manufacturers to the other on the same country, and this farming practices are also different at regional and global level, and this was very important to document the conditions of production, because any new proposal, any new standard needs to take into consideration all these varieties in the camel breeding, and the milk in the camel breeding is also affecting the quality of the milk, for example, the feeding and many other aspects are affecting the quality of milk and are different from country to country, from region to region. That's why it was very important to work on this milestone to be able to cover the items that are included in any milk and milk product standards. I talked about the literature review, and we had a network of experts they provide us with many peer reviews and studies reporting the distinctive nutritional and health characteristics of camel milk. The step of benchmarking was very important also. We try to gather the standards that are adopted in, for example, in Kenya, in Kazakhstan, the requirements of China, the standards from Morocco, from Tunisia, because it's very important to see the similarities and the differences between these standards concerning, for example, the conditions, the composition of the milk itself, to be able after that to set the minimum requirements that are suitable for every producing country and region. Let me now talk a little bit about the data concerning the camel milk. As you know, there is data provided by FAO for raw camel milk from 1961 to 2022. Even if this data is not accurate according to many reports from many countries, but the main issue is that we are not we weren't able to collect the data concerning the other forms of milk, the processed milk, for example, pasteurized or the powder camel milk, and that's why we are proposing a modality of work that will help us to rapidly collect this data when the member of Codex will join this procedure officially. It will be more easier to be able to collect this data that is maintained by manufacturers for the most of the cases. We move now to the international consultations. It was a very important step. We first met with Codex Secretariat to try to talk about the possibilities or the options of the modalities that we can undertake to conduct this work, especially that the Codex Committee for Milk or Milk Products is now semi-adjourned, which means it is an inactive committee, and we discussed what are the possibilities to undertake this work, either by correspondence or other modalities that will be discussed during this CAC 47 session. We also met with many partners as per the International Dairy Federation that helped us with also expert advice. Also, it's very important to know what are the challenges, and we tried all the time along the process to bring the sufficient rationale to all the raised points. Lot of meetings. It was in fact the output of the webinar of the symposium we organized 24 and 25 September. One the output was to organize a webinar series with all Codex regional committees. This were done under the facilitation of Dr. Khalid Zahrani, the CCNE coordinator. I would like here to take the opportunity to thank Dr. Khalid Zahrani, the CCNE coordinator, but also the other coordinators of Europe, of CCLAC, of Africa, of Asia, of CCNOSWAP also, for being very cooperative in conducting this meeting. I would like also to thank again and again Dr. Samuel Godfroy for also being one of our advisors during this work, and I would like to thank all the member countries that participated in this meeting and show their support for this work. And they also highlighted the efforts done by the United Arab Emirates in seeking the guidance and support, and in showing and in applying, if I can say that like that, in applying the Codex principle of inclusiveness and collegiality. It wasn't very easy to plan and organize these meetings, but with the commitment of everyone within the United Arab Emirates, but also at regional level and a global level, we succeed in gathering 14 countries and one observer in Codex in co-authoring this work. We have 14 members from 4 regions of Codex. Many countries helped us by providing the data, providing comments, and everyone contributed actively in promoting this proposal. Here I would like just to cite some examples of correspondences we conducted with many Codex focal point and partners as per IDF, the US Codex, Kazakhstan, the China focal point, Morocco, Tunisia, Qatar, Iran also, and many other countries via correspondence. We all the time talked about the proposal, and they provide us with comments, with the data. That we reach this point that now we have the discussion paper annexed with the project document. As I said, publish it on the CAC 47 webpage, CRD number 3, authored by the United Arab Emirates and co-authored by Kenya, Chad, Mali, Niger, Somalia, China, Oman, Tunisia, Morocco, Kazakhstan, Qatar, Iraq, Iran, Jordan, Egypt, and the International Union of Food Science and Technology, IOFOS, and many other countries. are supporting this work and are willing to join this community. I would like now to give you an overview of the content of the draft discussion paper. So as you all know, we have a commodity that has unique attributes, mainly the absence of beta-lactoglobulin. Beta-lactoglobulin is kind of whey protein that is also absent in the milk of humans. So it is a product that has health attributes, and of course is subject to illicit manufacturing and false representation practices, leading to consumer deception and fraud. So we have a structure of commodity of milk that is different from other milks and that is subject to fraud. So by this I would like to say that is under the Codex scope of protecting the consumer and ensuring the fair trade practices. What is the current environment of camel milk nowadays? So we have increased production of camel milk, even in raw camel milk and other kind of commodities, because we have several camel milk products, and that's why we are developing a standard on global level, not only on regional level. Camel milk is produced in different geographical regions in Africa, in Asia, in the Near East, also in Africa, in some countries such as New Zealand and Australia. Few quantities maybe, but still considered as regions of world when we can find the camels. The camel milk is produced under traditional methods of production, and large portion of the production is not included in formal trade. This was reported by the literature by many experts in FAO, especially, for example, in Kenya, 80% of the camel milk is not included in the trade. Developing a codex standard will help promoting the trade in this commodity. It is in fact cited here. What are the benefits of international standard on camel milk? First of all, it will be the opportunity to maintain the integrity of camel milk and to protect the authenticity of this commodity via a standard. Better dissemination of the knowledge about camel milk products, supporting their broader uptake in various markets, because as you know, and this is cited in the discussion paper, we have yogurt from camel milk, we have cheese that is sold expensive. Also, we also have chocolate, ice cream, and many other regional products such as choubats, kind of cheese produced in France, named Bois de Fine, for example. So also the the international standard, we will help providing guidance to producers on how to produce a product that will be authentic to a set of standard set of criteria included in this standard. And this will also in between reduce the gap of the as I said in the previous slides, different farming practices, different breeding, different feeding practices. So the standard will help reducing all these gaps by setting minimum requirements for camel milk everywhere. What are the steps forward? And this is the last part of my presentation today. The steps forward will happen very soon in the CAC 47. So what we propose, number one, is in general, the modality that United Arab Emirates proposed, based on all the efforts that were made during this year. So we propose to form an e-working group that will review the current codex text under CCMP, but also to review couple of other or update couple of other Codex texts as per the Code of Hygiene, the principles and guidelines for the establishment and application of microbiological criteria. As an example, only pasteurization process is different from cow milk and camel milk, so we have to identify precisely main criteria related to the hygiene practices. And number three, later on, and according to the results of the number one and number two reviews, and depending on the commitment of the member states, we will develop a new standard for the commodity that the member states will see the most amenable to standardization. It can be liquid pasteurized camel milk, it can be powder camel milk, etc. So, as I said, now we are during CAC 47. We are going to present our work according to CRD number 3, and we are trying to hopefully and officially step on this workflow officially by getting started. Step 1, we will see what is the most suitable modality of work that will be agreed upon by the Codex Commission. So this is the end of my presentation. I would like to thank you so much for your attention, and I'm looking forward in new occasions to talk about this great work of camel milk. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend this live session, but any question can be addressed to me via my email. Dr. Amin Assouf can provide my email on the chat box later. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Engineer Sonia. This was really a huge effort, and what you did and what your agency ADAFSA and the United Arab Emirates did was really a huge work, and it opened a subject that we can say like a product that had been in the dark for so long, and now we have lots of information and data, and we will start promoting these products. And by the way, if you try the ice cream, it is really amazing, one of the best ice creams I've ever had. So thank you very much. And now I will introduce our third speaker, which is Dr. Samuel. Dr. Samuel Godefroy. He's a professor in food risk analysis and regulatory policies at the University Laval, Canada, and is the president of the International Union of Food Science and Technology, IFOST, and also the president and COO of the Global Food Regulatory Science Society, GFORCE. Dr. Samuel would have a small presentation and also will take the Q&A segment with you, dear participants. So the floor is yours, Dr. Samuel, and
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Ruba, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all dear colleagues. So you probably have noticed that we are actually conducting this webinar under some special conditions. We are currently within the premises of the International Center of Conference in Geneva, where the 47th session of the Codex Alimentarius Commission is taking place. So we try to find ourselves, an area where we can actually hold this webinar live. Now, as part of the reason why we are here and why actually we have planned this webinar exactly today. So as part of the 47th session of the Commission, and as indicated by Engineer Sonia earlier, the United Arab Emirates is in fact sponsoring or being the proponent in introducing a proposal for new work such that Codex works on standardizing camel milk and camel milk products in general. Now, I think actually what was presented earlier gives you elements of the rationale as to why Codex would be interested, or at least should be interested, and should be providing some solutions to some of the challenges that may be faced by this commodity, helping, of course, this commodity to become much more produced, and helping both the producers and the consumers access safe and a more abundant supply of this particular commodity. The first issue, the first challenge is actually identified in one of the characteristics that was mentioned. It is considered to be a rare commodity with some sought after health benefits, but also with some specificities that makes this milk and any type of derived products closer to human milk. So in fact, it is the closest milk to human milk. And this is coming from a characteristic where essentially camel milk does not contain a major allergen protein that is found in other milks, and that is generally actually constituting the whey portion of milk, and that is beta-lactoglobulin. So the absence of beta-lactoglobulin is making camel milk the closest to human milk. And it is contributing also to part of what we consider a human milk to be hypoallergenic. Now, it's not that it is devoid of allergens. It has allergens in it because, as was mentioned, it contains casein. It has actually a proportion of alpha, beta, and kappa casein, but the proportion of beta casein is in fact quite important. That's another characteristic. So the fact that this milk is sought after makes it vulnerable to fraud, makes it vulnerable to potential adulteration. And there were a number of incidents, in fact, that were reported in terms of adulteration. For example, products that were exported from producing countries like the United Arab Emirates or Saudi Arabia or the Sultanate of Oman, or even actually from some African countries, when they get exported to some export markets, there is a possibility that they get diluted. So you will find a camel milk powder that is diluted with a cow's milk powder. How can you, as a member of the supply chain, how can you ascertain that the product that you received is indeed authentic? And we now, as a group of experts, are discussing the fact that this does not contain beta-lactoglobulin. But if there was a reference standard, and we know that when people think food standards, we hope that they first think about Codex standards. Therefore, we would want to have a Codex reference standard that people would turn to, and that would help solve the problem of authenticity. Basically, this is a determining factor that would allow us to say that this milk is camel milk. So that's a first challenge that potentially standardization, and Codex standardization in particular, could help address. The second challenge, and I think we've heard it in also part of the two presentations, the one introduced by Dr. Amin Assouf and the one by engineer Sonia Baldi. We know that camel milk is produced in a number of countries, that definitely many of which are in the Near East, but also in North Africa, in other parts of Africa, in Central Europe, in Asia as well. And we know that most of the production is right now an informal production. In fact, it's only a minimum part of the production that is making it to be potentially accessing opportunities of processing and opportunities of trade in formal markets, but also trade within export markets. Now, if you are a producer of camel milk in a developing nation, and you want to upgrade your capacity of production, and you want to have guidance on how to do so. And this is really coming from the technological specificities of camel milk. you would want to turn to codecs, and you would want to turn to codex standards to give you the how to do so. Now, the question that we all have, do codex standards, both the ones that were developed by the horizontal committees, so for example, the Code of Hygienic Practices that is associated with milk and milk products, or the ones that are specific to commodities, so essentially any standards that is developed by the Committee on Milk and Milk Products, do these standards apply or consider in the way they are formulated the specificities of camel milk? For example, and we've seen in the questions that were posed, there were questions about the temperature of pasteurization, the temperature of sterilization. And we know that camel milk is actually quite specific and has some significant difference in both in its composition and therefore in the way technological application should be considered to treat camel milk. So the temperature of pasteurization, if it is applied for other milks, may actually lead to separation issues and may actually be impractical in its application. So the question is now, we need to have this guidance reflected in the reference that we all go to when we speak about food standards, meaning codex standards. So it is actually from this lens that the United Arab Emirates, now supported by many countries, and I believe we've heard that there were a number of countries that sponsored this standard from Africa, from the Near East. So I read here the number of authors that co-authored this discussion paper: Kenya, which is the main producer, Chad, Mali, Niger, Somalia, China, Oman, Tunisia, Morocco, Kazakhstan, Qatar, Iraq, Iran, Jordan, Egypt. And actually, we were privileged as the representatives of the International Union of Food Science and Technology, GFORCE being a disciplinary group of IOFOST, we were privileged actually to contribute also and to be one of the submitting co-authors of this paper. So the number of countries that have agreed to be co-authors and to support the endeavor proposed by the United Arab Emirates shows the level of interest, and hopefully will lead to making this item further discussed during the deliberations of this 47th session of the Commission. Now, of course, I'm going to get to where we are going next. In fact, at the opening of the 47th session of the Codex Alimentarius Commission, the United Arab Emirates proposed the introduction of this item, mainly through the discussion paper that was introduced. It was proposed to be introduced as part of the other agenda items, other business, which is again customary on the part of Codex to consider new agenda items proposed by members. So this was adopted as part of the new agenda, and we are hopeful that on Thursday, which is the last day of the discussions and of the deliberations of the 47th session of CAC, that we will be able to examine this proposal and hopefully to find a path forward within Codex about how we can, through Codex standards, address those two key main challenges: the authenticity challenge through a standard, but also providing the relevant guidance to producers such that we can find within Codex a reference that producers from developing countries can turn to in order for them to address those technological specificities of camel milk to produce a number of derivatives and number of products of camel milk, whether be it pasteurized milk, whether be it camel milk powder, or other products that could be derived from this important commodity. So I hope actually with this, I completed the picture of why now, what we are doing, and what we are hoping to accomplish. Now I see through the chat box and through the questions and answer area that there are a number of questions that were posed, some of which I may have addressed already in a way. Like when the question about authenticity, I think we gave you the hint, which is essentially that the absence of beta-lactoglobulin can be a way to identify whether camel milk is authentic or not, whether camel milk is adulterated or not. So essentially, if you have a test of beta-lactoglobulin, you can have an ELISA test of beta-lactoglobulin. That could be your way forward to do that. But there were many other questions that are quite specific, and they would require some specialists and experts in camel milk, and I do not consider myself one of those. However, in the context of the international symposium that was organized by the United Arab Emirates earlier in September of this year, there were a number of presentations and a number of papers that were introduced by eminent experts at the international and at the regional level. The Global Food Regulatory Science Society has committed to be working with the ADAFSA, so the Abu Dhabi Agriculture and Food Safety Authority, in order to produce proceedings for this workshop. So please watch for these proceedings that will be made available, I anticipate, in early 2025. And I'm sure that these proceedings will contain several of the answers of the questions that you may be having on camel milk. Now, alternatively, and if this topic is of interest, we may also plan a follow-up webinar in early 2025, where we can convene a group of experts that could join us to address some specific questions in particular, but also where we can give you the follow-up on the camel milk journey within the Codex Alimentarius Commission. With that, I'm going to turn it back to you, Ruba.
Thank you very much. And, I'm very, optimistic that it will reach where we want it to reach, for our region and for, other regions who are really, this product is really important for them. And would like also to say before we conclude that I would like to extend a sincere thank you to our speakers for their valuable insights. This has been an incredibly informative session, and I am sure many of you have gained a deeper understanding of why a proposed standard for camel milk and the need for supporting the development of camel milk or camel-derived products. Thank you once again, Dr. Amin, Dr. Sonia, and Dr. Samuel for your expert insights, and to everyone who participated with us. And kindly note that the presentation today will be available soon on G-Force website. And dear participants, looking forward to seeing you all again at our next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you.
Knowledge we share with pride for a world where health is on our side. Collaboration and science as pillars. G4